Welcome to the Panavox channel. I'm Eric.
I'm Joe, and today we have our John Hughes double feature. We're going to look at two films by famed director John Hughes. The first one will be Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and the second one will be The Breakfast Club. And these may be his two best known films, but he has others that are certainly worth talking about. Before we get started, I want to just talk a little bit about John Hughes as a director. One of my favorite directors. He was very well known, particularly in the 1980s and into the 1990s. But I think we tend to think of him, a lot of us will tend to think of him as really having his heyday in the 80s and really capturing the spirit of a generation. And I would say that generation, a little cautiously here, maybe that generation was Generation X, people born between 1965 and 1980, with maybe more emphasis on those born towards the first part of Generation X, because when Ferris Bueller's Day Off came out, I believe in 1986, I just finished high school. And when The Breakfast Club came out, I think a year earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that The Breakfast Club came out in 1985.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
17 at the time, and I think you're 3 years younger than me, no, older, sorry. You're older than me, so you would have been 20 and around 21 around that time when the second film came out. So yeah, we
I
were, yeah.
I think I was about 19 when The Breakfast Club came out because
Okay,
I would
yeah.
I would have turned 20 in June of that year. So anyway,
Right.
that's too much information probably, but
Yeah, yeah. But
just to
anyway,
just to clarify a little bit.
yeah, then same here. It could have been 16 instead of 17, maybe leaning more towards 17 instead of 18. We're not sure when they were released, but that gives you an idea that we were kind of representative. I mean, we saw our generation represented in these movies. The actors were representing characters that were supposed to be our age. I think in reality they were maybe a little bit older. That tends
Yeah,
to be something you see in films where they playing a high school kid, but they're quite a bit older, maybe a couple of years past high school. But
yeah,
in any case, it was the intention there. We could kind of see ourselves in these characters, at least to some degree. So I could really relate to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, not so much to the characters. I mean, I can't really identify with Ferris Bueller himself because I mean he has a kind of daredevil. He was pulling all these. He was getting away with everything, right? He was pretending to
yeah,
be sick, and the principal was after him, and he was slipping out of his grasp and doing all kinds of crazy things, just pushing
yeah,
everything to the limit. And that's kind of how maybe I wished I could be, but it seemed like when I tried to push things to the limit, I always got caught. So it
right,
didn't really
yeah.
work. So I could kind of look at somebody like Ferris Bueller and say, man, if I could just be like him. But I could identify with um, the spirit of wanting to have a good time, the spirit of wanting to not be crushed by authority. And in particular, where there's this line in the film where he's talking to his buddy, one that drives his dad's, red sports car. And
Hmm.
he goes, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says, nothing, you know. And and it's like when I heard that, I was like, yes, I don't want to be anything when I grow up either. I'm just enjoying today. I just want to have a good time with my friends and just
Yeah,
enjoy life. Why do I have to think about a career? Come on. And
right, right.
it was a little moment of honesty, and I think that our generation kind of got some slack for that because I think I remember reading somewhere where, or seeing a video where somebody was like saying some stuff. He was like, "The problem with this generation is they have no ambition, they have no direction, they just expect everybody else to take care of them." This is the kind of person you don't want to, fight.
Yeah.
whatever.
Didn't they call us the me generation, or was that the generation before us?
Yeah, that's the boomers that we were referred to as the slacker generation because the idea was that we had
Uh,
no ambition, which is not really, I mean, there are plenty of people from Generation X that are doing
I
quite
guess every generation gets called lazy and all those usual terms. I mean,
yeah.
if they were calling the boomers the me generation, that's kind of it seems like you hear that for every generation. It's like they don't care about anything except themselves and they're lazy and they don't want to do anything. And
Yeah,
it's just, I think that just carries on for every generation. You know what I mean?
it's kind of an eternal refrain, and you see, getting back to the film though, tying that into the film, you see that Ferris Bueller is up against people who are, stuck in a rut. The principal is obviously uh, something. He's messed up. He's a messed up guy because here he is. He's after Ferris in a way that's is psychologically unbalanced. He's determined to crush Ferris and ruin his life to make him repeat his senior year. And you can
Yeah.
tell that he's driven by malice, by spite. It's like he's saying, you can't, yeah, you're having fun. It makes me sick. And you can tell like the man is jealous because Ferris is enjoying his life so much. He's just thumbing his nose at authority. And this guy is stuck in this crummy principal job and he just resents everything about Ferris Bueller. But in the end, he has to ride the bus, when he's been attacked at Ferris's home and he's gotten attacked by the dog and attacked by Ferris's sister and then he's limping off to a bus stop and he has to ride in the bus with the kids all the way back to the school in complete humiliation. And they've got the home, home.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
It's just a
remember that.
classic
Yeah.
little tune they put at the end. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, while he's riding in the bus. It's just like one of my favorite film moments. The and it's like I feel like the ending of the film was like saying Ferris won and you lost, you stick in the mud. And
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
anyway, but so yeah, and then I love the end of the film where you're watching the credits roll and you're sitting in the theater and you're thinking, well, I was just sitting there because I was just thinking, wow, what a cool film. I'm just going to listen to the music and watch the credits roll. And then the credits roll, and then suddenly it goes black. And then a second later, it comes back. And then there's Ferris, and he's wearing a bathrobe, and he's saying, "You're still here? What are you doing here? Go home. Go home." And I
Oh
just blew my
wow.
mind, man, because the credits had rolled, and I was like, "Whoa!" I look around the movie theater, and there's like 3 or 4 people left, and they're like, "Whoa!" And it's like we were the only
Oh
ones
wow.
who stayed to see that at the end, So it was like that to me.
Wow.
That was an incredibly cool move by John Hughes to put that in there at the end.
Right. Yeah.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was kind of unusual.
yeah, I mean, and I think that after that they started doing that with other films, stuff kind of like that. But I think
Yeah. Yeah.
John Hughes is the one who came up with that move, to have
Okay.
somebody pop in after the credits like that. It just blew
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
away because it was like Matthew Broderick was in the theater with us saying, "Hey guys, go home. It's over. Bye."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like that. But anyway, I like the twist and shout part of the video where he's pretending to sing like he's John Lennon, "Shake it up, baby," do all that and dancing on top of the floats in the parade. It's just
Uh-huh.
it's crazy. It's not entirely realistic, but I just love it.
Yeah.
So that film is like it has all these moments in it that are just guilty pleasures. There's a great scene where um, Jennifer Grey, the girl who did Dirty Dancing, and this is
Hmm.
around the peak of her fame, and she's with Emilio Estevez, or is that who is that? No, Charlie Sheen. Sorry, Charlie Sheen's half
Hmm.
brother. Yeah, it was Emilio Estevez, but he's in there and he's Charlie Sheen is talking to Jennifer Grey, and he's being like, hey, what you doing in here? And so it's a really funny scene because she's like, I don't want to talk to you. You're a druggie and you're gross. And he's like, okay, I don't care, but you want to talk to me anyway, or something like that. And he just, at the end, she's like making out with him. So it must have
Oh,
worked.
yeah.
But it's just the way they filmed it anyway. The film has all kinds of little moments. The moment when the car is the guy leaves his dad car with the garage attendant and says, now please take good care of it because my car is very important. My dad will go crazy if it's got even a scratch on it. And then they show this scene where these driving attendants are like driving it and it's going 100 miles an hour over a hilly. The car goes airborne and they're going, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could go on. There's just all these little scenes in there that
Yeah.
are. It's like I feel like Ferris Bueller's Day Off is like a collection of vignettes. How do you say it? Vignett, whatever. Little scenes.
That was good.
Yeah, I can't speak French, sorry, but all these it kind of stitches together all these little scenes that have a common thread. So you can search for any little moment in the film and go, oh, look at that, or that part, or that part. So it's like a collection of little video shorts. But it's to me it's one of my favorite films, just because of the filmmaking, from the storytelling and the music and everything. I really like it. So
Yeah.
that's off to
Yeah.
John Hughes for a cinematic masterpiece.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, you're going to talk about The Breakfast Club, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I can talk about it a little bit. I saw it in the theaters when it
mhm,
came out in '85, and I saw it with my sister, and this was like a couple of weeks before I went into drug rehab
mhm.
for a month. So that was kind of like an interesting time in my life to see that movie,
Yeah.
because I thought it was kind of interesting movie. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I went on Wikipedia this morning and read the synopsis to kind of remember, what it was all about.
Mhm.
And it was a pretty good movie, I think. I mean, I think it's generally thought of as a pretty good movie by critics. I think the critics liked it a lot because
Yeah.
it portrayed like teenagers in more of like a serious and mature way, like as people with actual problems instead of just it's in a way it's kind of opposite from Ferris Bueller
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Mhm.
it's not like it's like a more realistic portrayal of
Yeah.
teenagers, and problems that they go through and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. Ferris Bueller is kind of a cartoon character compared to the characters in The Breakfast Club. They're supposed to be, like you say, highly realistic and relatable, believable. I think that he selected a group of characters that are representative of the different cliques that you normally run into in high school,
Right, yeah. That's
and
right.
and that they tend to not really mix very much, and that's something that was really relatable to me when I was in high school because I remember feeling really bad about the whole clique system. And I remember thinking, well, I don't fit in that crowd there. I don't belong in that group. I guess I belong with these kids over here and kind of like sticking myself in this group or whatever. But it never really, it was kind of like, I don't know if that made much sense. I mean, it seemed like it was really important, particularly when I was like freshman, sophomore, and even going to my junior year a bit. But it's funny as we got more into the senior year, then all that stuff. It's funny how the cliques seemed to kind of melt away at the end, and it seemed kind of meaningless because
Yeah,
everybody was like, well, we're going to college. I mean, who cares who you hang out with now? I mean,
right.
you want to
Yeah, I
have
think when you're a teenager, you're sort of hyper focused on what your peers think about you and stuff. And like the older you get, like you start to understand that nobody really cares that much about what you're doing. It's like, so you shouldn't be just obsessed with what people think about you, because just, don't let that hold you back or
Mhm.
prevent you from being yourself or whatever.
Right. And then I thought, well, that I felt kind of liberated, my senior year because it's particularly the last 3 or 4 months, because it seemed like a lot of the cliques were kind of falling apart at the high school. But
Yeah.
but then you're going to rush off to college, and what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to join a sorority, you're going to join a fraternity. I mean, then you want to get right back into the whole clique thing. I mean, weren't you happy to break away from it when you left high school? So I don't really understand. I mean, I kind of understand why people join fraternities and sororities, but I thought that the Breakfast Club was kind of like a statement against the formation of cliques. Is like they were saying, you don't need this. You if you get to know somebody. I mean, they didn't want to be there, right? But
Yeah.
they had an opportunity to get to know each other, and when they did, they found out, hey, we may be different in a lot of ways, but we can relate to one another much more than we thought we could. And
Yeah, I think they were kind of fighting with each other a little bit at the beginning of the movie, but then toward the end they sort of became friends, and like maybe that was part of the message of the movie. It's like
yeah, yeah.
we're not all so different as we think we are.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is, and so it's a masterful movie because I think it goes beyond. I mean, it's ostensibly about high school culture, being a high school kid, but if you think about it, it's really more about, I think, the human condition and how we create these artificial barriers between ourselves and other people because we say, oh, this is this type of guy, this type of girl or whatever, and this is we don't have anything in common. We can't relate to each other. Why would I even bother to talk to them? That persists into adulthood, and the fact that you have this unusual situation. I mean, yeah, and the principal is a jerk. Obviously, the principal is a cynical sourpuss guy
Yeah.
about control and so he's not really trying to. He doesn't care how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
He's just bureaucratic jerk. But I don't mean to criticize the actor. I mean, that's just how John Hughes wrote him, to be a
Yeah,
very
right.
unsympathetic person. But see, in spite of the principal, in spite of the school system, in spite of everything, they kind of break through all these barriers and uh, get to know each other and discover some sort of deeper meaning about
Hmm.
what it means to be human. So I thought that was very cool. And
Yeah,
this is what I think that Hughes was trying to say in that film.
right. Oh, and I've got an interesting tidbit about the Breakfast Club. It only had like a $1 million production budget, and it grossed around $50 million. So they got a big return off of that. Like that,
Yeah.
that could have been a type of movie that could have been made into like a theater production, because it's
Yeah.
all kind of the same scene for the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, they do move
And it
around the building a little bit.
just they're in the school, and there's these students are there for detention
Mhm.
for people who don't know the premise of the movie,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of they're supposed to be sitting there being quiet and writing an essay for the uh, for the principal or for the vice principal,
Yeah.
but then they start talking to each other and kind of getting into trouble a little bit or whatever. But
They smoke some marijuana, I think, when they're there too.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know if we had smoke detectors at my high school when I was growing up in the 80s. Probably did. So I'm not sure how realistic that particular scene was.
Yeah, I don't see that happening in
No.
in the middle of inside of a high school,
Yeah.
maybe out back somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But both of those films, getting back to the whole, double feature concept here, both of those films really are emblematic for me of my adolescence, that time in my life. Same for you, huh?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I,
we
I was a little bit post high school at that time, but I was like not really a active member of the workforce yet. I was kind of fooling around with my band and stuff, and uh, I was being kind of a slacker.
Yeah, I was too, I guess, in my own way. I think we kind of actually had our own breakfast club type of a group of friends because we had some of our friends were really did really well in school. I don't know if we had I had a couple of friends that were athletes that were so-called jocks and that used to hang out with me. One guy that was a really good athlete, and he used to come over to my house all the time. I didn't play sports, and I didn't have that in common with him, but he liked hanging out with me, so I guess that was all right. And goth. I mean, yeah, we knew a couple of goth girls that we used to hang
Yeah,
out with, and
yeah.
for sure. And what else? And there was the bender that was kind of like the guy that was. I guess he was. I don't know if he committed. I think he talked about crimes he committed.
He he was like the delinquent, or was
Yeah.
that Emilio?
No, that was
The
Judd Nelson, the actor Judd Nelson.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah. I
he
think I get those two mixed up, actually.
yeah, we had some people like that that we used to hang out with too, be
Yeah,
honest. Yeah.
that's true.
So yeah, so I don't know. I think I was more if I would identify with any of those characters, it would be the dweeb, kind of the nerdy guy. That would have been me.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would identify with the loner girl,
Oh, really?
and the dweeb too, probably. I'm like a cross between those two, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, great films, highly recommend them. I don't think we gave away the plot very much because there wasn't much of a plot, really.
Not
There's kind
really.
of
Yeah.
a plot
Well,
in
it's
the
not.
yeah.
It's not an action movie, so don't watch it expecting car chases and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it's about
more of a cerebral kind of movie.
they're movies about character development, about getting to know the people and how their personalities evolve and the way it's about dialogue. That's one of the things I really respect about John Hughes films is they're really about dialogue
Yeah, yeah,
and
right.
how people interact with each other. They're about interactions and
Is
relationships.
um is John Hughes still making movies or?
He passed away. I don't know how
Oh,
recently it was, but he
okay.
passed away. So rest in peace, John Hughes. We salute you, and we might be talking about write some more of your films because you made a lot of good ones.